Coming up in this Brightline video, I take a look back at the busy year of 2023 on Brightline's Orlando expansion. The year started with construction ongoing at full throttle and ended with 32 trains a day in revenue service. Brightline is a private intercity passenger rail service that now operates between Miami and Orlando, Florida. Until September 2023, this service was limited to Miami to West Palm Beach as construction wrapped up for service to Orlando. My coverage in 2023 started with a bang by finally being able to announce a significant milestone in track construction on the Orlando line. This was when the track being built from the east met track being built from the west, signified by the ceremonial installation of a golden spike, or in this case, golden tie clips. This occurred near the Long Bluff Road overpass, east of State Road 520. The Orlando line quickly wrapped up in the first few months of the year. The bridges were completed and landscaped, and ballasting and surfacing completed on the track. This is the number 32.75 turnout, which is located where the double track coming from the Orlando station reduces to single track for the remaining route to Cocoa. This is the largest turnout size used in North America and requires 5 switch machines to move the points and movable point frog. This is east of the overpass, crossing the OUC CSX Stanton rail line, where there is a temporary interchange with that line for materials to be delivered. That interchange has since been removed. This is the same area where the golden spike was, now ballasted and surfaced. Now at the Interstate 95, State Road 528 interchange, where the tracks pass under the 528 and then over Interstate 95. The entire Orlando line, including this tunnel, have been built with future double tracking in mind. And here's the Cocoa box jack tunnel just before it was final surfaced, when it was still being used as an access point for construction. Over on the Florida East Coast Railway corridor, Turkey Creek was the last of the major bridges to receive its final beam. Here's that final beam being installed in January. Another major push through the first half of the year was tire replacements. While the majority of this project was building a second main line, the FEC's existing trackage had to be upgraded from FRA Class 4 standards to Class 6 to be capable of the 110 mph speeds for Brightline. Many of the ties being replaced were produced by FEC itself over 50 years ago. There were also a few wooden ties left over in the main line from previous turnouts and insulated joints, such as these from the former Pineda South that needed to be removed. Some of the last major crossings to be rebuilt were in downtown Vero Beach at 26th, 14th, and 23rd Streets. These were all done together due to their close proximity and the necessary track alignment adjustments that needed to be done continuously through them all. Following the completion of those crossings and other track work in Indian River County during the first several months of the year, this new double track was put into service. This was the north end of the former Gifford siding, as crews wrapped up the removal of the old turnout and integrated the old siding into the new double track that was put into service that day. On February 18th, the fifth and final of the additional trains Brightline ordered for service to Orlando was delivered. Train Bright Orange 2, along with extra locomotive 121, was delivered to the Vehicle Maintenance Facility in Orlando by CSX. This delivery brought Brightline's fleet up to a total of 10 trains consisting of 40 coaches and 21 locomotives. After a quick fueling of locomotive 119, the train was pulled into the shop building, providing a very rare opportunity to see both Brightline and CSX inside. Back over in Brevard County, and in the early part of the year, there were several smaller track shifts and turnout installations underway in preparation for the major cutover work in late May and June. Here they are working on a combination of a cut and throw and track shift near Lake Washington Road in Melbourne, as they also construct a new extended siding for an industry here. Here's work train AFW1 dropping ballast here. Once the track shift was complete, new ties were set for what would become the new Eastern Main Line. In Melbourne, Prospect Avenue was one of the first crossings to be taken out of service on the project due to the Crane Creek Bridge work, and ended up being the last one to reopen following the bridge's completion. Here's AFW1 dropping some ballast just north of Prospect Avenue following a track shift on the approach to the Crane Creek Bridge. Speaking of bridges, let's take a look at the 4 remaining large bridges on the project, starting here at Crane Creek. The last span here was installed in November 2022, so the early part of the new year saw the temporary work trestle being deconstructed while the new bridge was being completed. Here it is after the trestle was completely removed. The black on the new span of the bridge is a waterproofing material. The old main line through downtown Melbourne was ready for track to be laid across the new bridge and connected. At the O'Galley River, crews were also working to complete the second half of the new bridge. They were also finishing the demolition of the old bridge's pedestals as the temporary work trestle was being deconstructed. Here's the bridge with new ties and rail crossing it, ready to be assembled. And finally, the track assembled and ready for ballast. At Turkey Creek, work sped up after the final beam that I showed earlier was installed. Here, the center span had been waterproofed, and crews were preparing for ultra-high performance concrete to be poured between the concrete beams to finish off the major structural work. And here it is after the track had been built across it. At the Sebastian River, track was quickly laid across the new bridge, but the majority of the effort for the year was deconstructing the temporary work trestle that had spanned the river, and took several months to be completely removed. Here's a closer look at the trestle removal efforts. Moving down to Stuart, and work began on upgrades to the existing bridge over the St. Lucie River. This bridge received a new mechanical system to more reliably operate the bridge, and a new structure for an on-site bridge tender. While this is currently the only single-track segment on the Florida East Coast Railway corridor, FEC and Brightline recently received a grant to construct a new, higher double-track bridge here. In Jupiter at the Loxahatchee River, the new bridge was completed, and the tedious process of demobilizing the fleet of barges and work trestles was the primary focus here. Here's the new bascule in operation. Following the bridge completion, the new track surrounding it was built and put into service. In March, Brightline unveiled the Orlando Vehicle Maintenance Facility, which is also known as Basecamp. Basecamp is now the primary location for maintenance on Brightline's fleet of trains, capable of anything from simple nightly cleaning to changing out locomotive engines. The facility is anchored by the main shop building, which has 3 shop tracks, each capable of holding a 5-car train in its current configuration and is designed to expand as their trains are lengthened. It also contains a locomotive shop, truck shop, and wheel truing machine. Four of the 5 expansion trains were delivered and commissioned here. Inside, 2 of the tracks have full-length inspection pits, with room alongside for work above the rails. The inspection pits are fully lit, with movable platforms that can be positioned to allow maintenance crews to get up into the underbodies to work. The third track has a drop table which allows Brightline to remove a truck from a coach or locomotive and quickly switch it out with a spare without having to lift an entire car or disassemble the semi-permanently coupled trains. The trucks travel through a short tunnel underground and rise from underneath these yellow panels where they can be stored on the embedded tracks on either side. From there, they can be craned into this booth where they can be cleaned. They can then be worked on at the variety of equipment around the shop, like this truck press. The facility also has a large warehouse for parts. Outside, there's a fuel farm with 2 tanks for biodiesel and a smaller tank for diesel exhaust fluid. One of the tracks also has sanding equipment in addition to a fuel crane. Offices for the mechanical and maintenance of way teams are also here. The facility also has a train wash where Brightline's trains are washed daily. It takes about 15 minutes to fully wash a train, which is done automatically other than the movement of the train itself. Here's a flight to the train wash building itself. And a look from the inside at what it's like for the locomotive to be scrubbed. March also saw the beginning of test trains on the Orlando line. These trains started out very slow, before gradually working their way up to the track speed of 125 miles per hour. This is the very first test train passing through the number 32 turnout. Here are a few looks at the test train going 125. And one of the test trains arriving to the Orlando station following a successful day of testing. Shifting back to the FEC corridor, and the new double track through Stuart was activated in March. This is the new CP Port Sewell. In addition to being a crossover, this is where 2 sidings for servicing customers in the area are located. And a look at the crossings through downtown Stuart. These signals guard the turnout where the double track shifts to single track across the St. Lucie River Bridge. In April, Brightline unveiled its Orlando station, located at Orlando International Airport. Brightline's facility is fittingly located in the airport terminal building called the train station, which is adjacent to the new Terminal C. After passing through the entrance wicket into Brightline's space, guests are greeted with the customer service counters and ticket kiosks, followed by turnstiles and security. That releases guests into the center of the station, which is flanked by escalators going down to the two platforms. The station is anchored by the Mary Mary Bar, which serves beverages and light bites. One side of the station is the Premium Lounge for passengers riding in the premium coach, and features complimentary drinks and snacks in addition to having this exclusive area to wait. The other side of the station is the Smart Lounge, which is where the majority of guests will wait and features a large variety of seating options. Out the back of the lounges are the primary escalators guests use to reach the platforms. Currently, the station has 2 tracks, but there is room to add a second track at each platform in the future. And here's going from the platform into the station. Back on the FEC in Fort Pierce, and crews were wrapping up the mainline work in this area and activating the double track. One of the last activities was undercutting the existing mainline to lower it under Citrus Avenue. Undercutting removes ballast and dirt under the tracks, cleans it of all contaminants, then places Undercutting removes ballast and dirt under the tracks, cleans it of all contaminants, then places a precise amount back down based on the desired elevation. Work on the tracks for Fort Pierce Yard continued for several months since it did not affect the mainline. The last significant construction push was around Melbourne and Palm Bay in May and June. 2 simultaneous cut and throws at Masterson Street and O'Galley Boulevard began it. The cut and throw at Masterson is seen here. Here an excavator is doing a rough alignment of the tracks before a tamper sets it to the final placement later. And here's the one at O'Galley. By the time I filmed here, crews were already making the joints to connect the new track. Work train AFW1 is dropping ballast here over the cut and throw and crossing over the O'Galley River Bridge. shifting down to Palm Bay to where another cut and throw would occur between Palm Bay Road and Turkey Creek. And here it is happening. Just to the north was the former south end of the Palm Bay siding. New track panels were built to the side, ready to be installed. The turnout here was removed as the former siding track was integrated into the new Western Main Line. After clearing out the old ballast, one of the new pre-assembled track panels was moved into place. And here's the removal of one of the searchlight signals here. The following day, the Palm Bay North turnout was removed. Once again, a pre-assembled track panel was installed. AFW1 dropped ballast on one of the final sections of skeletonized track that would be on the project. With the completion of this joint, the project's double track was officially all connected. This joint would eventually be welded. The searchlight signal here ended up being the last one standing south of Jacksonville when it was removed. With major track work complete, Brightline held a special construction completion event at the Orlando station, featuring a roundtable with politicians from along the route. As part of that, two of the trains came nose to nose at the platform in a play on the famous Transcontinental Railroad Golden Spike photo, although this time it was for a bright spike. With the trains in place, it was time for group pictures, starting with the politicians. The Brightline team that helped make Orlando a reality then came together for a photo. With track construction complete, the focus shifted to test trains, which began running for several months as the track was certified and crews were qualified. This was the first documented meet of Brightline trains north of West Palm Beach. These test trains ran at both slow speeds, and then the new higher speeds. Here is a meet of test trains near the Cocoa Tunnel. All of the effort to build this project paid off on September 22nd for opening day, with a ceremonial first train from Miami to Orlando.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I know today I'm bursting with pride for this special day, mostly on behalf of all of my team members at Brightline for their tireless dedication and optimism that has come together to make this possible for everybody today. Today is actually the culmination of more than a decade of determination and hard work. We've built something remarkable, and I'm excited that soon millions of people throughout the state will get a chance to experience what you will see for the first time here this morning.
I'm your Miami-Dade County Mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, inviting you all to come all aboard Brightline's first train departing Miami for Orlando. All aboard!
With festivities in the station complete, people headed up to the platform and the train. And here's the first Orlando-bound departure from Miami. This train provided a great opportunity to finally see what was constructed from the ground.
Good morning, everybody, and Brightline Faith. This is Mike Reininger. We are excited to share that we're now traveling along the border between Vero Beach and Orlando Airport. Very soon, the train will be reaching its top speeds of 125 miles an hour, which will make us the second fastest train in the United States. Being part of this historic event, we look forward to seeing you on the platform in Orlando in just a few minutes.
It was great to be able to pass cars on State Road 528 at 125 miles per hour while on the Orlando line. And here's the celebration that ensued upon the train's arrival to Orlando.
To the thousands of people who constructed this project over the years, to those who operate our trains, and to those who just joined us a few months ago to get this Orlando extension ready for operation. You made this possible, and you continue opening the doors to new possibilities. All the believers, from elected officials to community leaders, every person who spoke in support, wrote a letter, passed a resolution, you helped us to achieve this. Our government and agency partners, particularly at the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Federal Railroad Administration, the State of Florida, the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, the Central Florida Expressway Authority, Florida Development Finance Corporation, and the 8 counties and more than 50 cities through which we operate. And to those that I didn't name, thank you.
Florida, this is such an exciting day. I'm so thrilled that I can be here. So on behalf of Secretary Pete Buttigieg and the Federal Railroad Administration, we're very thrilled to be here today for the extension of Brightline service to Orlando. It's a really exciting day for the people of Florida.
With construction complete and Orlando open for service, all that was left for the rest of the year was to watch the trains in action. Thanks for coming along on this look back at Brightline in 2023. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. Also check out my social media pages